Hi, my name is Elizabeth Reimer. I'm a species at risk biologist with the Ministry of Natural Resources in Aylmer District, and my job is to oversee the implementation of the species at risk permits on the Gray Parkway. So it's important to protect species at risk because the Ontario legislature passed the Ontario Endangered Species Act in 2007, and so all species and habitats have legal protection. And just to get a little more in detail about what the species at risk are that we're concerned about in the Gray Parkway, the Ministry of Transportation currently has permits for 4 prairie plants that occur in the Windsor and Essex area. Those are willow leaf aster, dense blazing star, colic root, and eastern prairie fringed orchid. All of the plants that are in the area of the Gray Parkway were transplanted as part of the conditions of those permits. Windsor and the Essex area have a high plant diversity because of rare ecosystems that occur here. In particular, there are prairies and oak savannas, and they've been heavily impacted by human activities. And so due to the loss of habitat that occurred historically, very little of the prairie and oak savanna are left. And so many of the plants that are specifically limited to this area have become rare. And a big part of the reason that the habitats have become so rare is when European settlers first arrived, it was a lot easier to cultivate and plant crops and create homesteads in an open area rather than having to clear a lot of forest. So for that reason, these regions have become very rare on the landscape, and that's why there are so many rare plants and animals in Windsor. The public is obligated to comply with all of the laws of Ontario, and the Endangered Species Act is one of those laws. So everyone is responsible for following the guidelines that are set out in the Act. A lot of people have the misconception that that means that there's nothing that you can do when there are endangered species habitats nearby. A lot of times what we hear people talk about a no-go zone. That's not necessarily the case. There are a lot of things that people can still do, and it's up to you to educate yourself on the types of activities that are allowed in habitat and nearby individuals of species at risk, and what kinds of activities are not allowed. And if you need more information, you can get a lot of information on what kind of activities are allowed on the Ministry of Natural Resources Species at Risk website. Just to let people know that people who do not comply with the law, there are consequences, that there could potentially be fines associated with failing to comply with the Endangered Species Act. One way that you can recognize a site that may provide habitat for species at risk associated with the Gray Parkway is if you see a sign like this. Anywhere that you see a sign like this could indicate that species at risk are present. And in those areas, we ask people to appreciate those sites, but not to disturb them, to ensure that these areas are protected and maintained for future generations.
Hi, my name is Randy Brunatti. I'm the environmental manager for the Parkway Constructors building the Gray Parkway. So our role with the species at risk on the Parkway is compliance with the permit from Ministry of Natural Resources to monitor and move all the species at risk plants from within the Parkway to final restoration sites outside the Parkway, outside the impact area of construction. In the last year and a half to 2 years, we've been involved with moving up to 250,000 plants from inside the construction area to sites like this one behind me, where plants have been moved to a final site to remain after construction. In those locations, they're being monitored by a series of a team of biologists that inspect the plants to maintain their health and survivorship and show that they're being productive in their new locations. The monitoring is being done on an annual basis through until 2021 when our permit expires. And after that, there'll be ongoing management of these sites, cooperatively by the ministries as well as municipalities. Some sites are fenced for protection to make sure the public doesn't have access, and the plants are protected both from the public and other activities, even wildlife that are undesirable, such as deer that can browse on the plants. And some sites, like the one behind me again, are just open to the natural area and will incorporate into the landscape of the final parkway. We've seen a number of issues with the restriction sites over the last year and a half. In some areas, we've had public access in the area with snow machines or other all-terrain vehicles, snowmobiles, that kind of stuff. They've gone in not knowing these areas are protected areas that have species risk plants in them, impacting the plants. We've also seen cases where people have actually mowed into the sites, impacting the plants, and even dumping material such as waste or garbage, lawn clippings, that kind of stuff that all impact the plants. Thank you very much. If you have any questions regarding the species risk management on the Parkway, you're welcome to contact the Ministry or the Parkway Public Liaison Office, and they can provide information as to what's being done now and in the future on the Parkway.